Hello everyone, this is Yana Smukula here at Spellbinders, and thank you for joining me today. In this video, I'll show you how to create a simple Christmas card using holiday stamps from Spellbinders. I'm going to use Cold Hands Holiday Stamp by Tammy Tutterow to create my card, and I'll also share a few other projects using other stamps from this collection. Here's the stamp that I'm going to be using today. I'm going to stamp and color it using Copic markers to create a clean and simple Christmas card. I already have a panel of white paper cut to 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 inches, and my final card will measure 5 by 7 inches. To make it easier to do my stamping, I'm going to use Tool and Accessories Spellbinders Handy Mat, and will place it under my paper to have some sort of a cushion. I'm using the foam side of the mat here, and it is actually perfect for stamping. I mentioned I will be using Copic markers to color my image. Depending on what you plan to color the images with, you'll need to pick the appropriate type of ink. Because I will be using alcohol markers, I'm using Memento ink. This is alcohol-friendly ink that is not going to bleed when it comes in contact with alcohol. If you plan to watercolor your images, you'll need to select the kind of ink that is waterproof. So I've inked up my image and stamped onto my panel, trying to align it and have it placed in the center. Having that cushion under my paper definitely helped to have a better and crisper impression. I don't plan to color all images here. I want to do some paper piecing, so I'm going to need to stamp this image a few more times. I'm going to paper piece the mittens, so I'm stamping them once again onto white paper. I'll cut the little hearts and the cuffs out of this piece. And for the actual mittens, I'm going to use pattern paper to make it look like my mittens are made out of some beautiful plaid fabric. You could color these if you prefer, and you can even draw the plaid pattern, but I find it easier to just stamp the image onto pattern paper and cut it out. To add some shading, I'm going to use Spellbinders Tool-in-One and Circle Foam Pad, and we'll blend some Distress Crushed Olive Ink to darken the edges. There aren't any coordinating dies available for these images, so I'm going to cut them out using scissors. I'm cutting right up to the edge of my images, and I'm not leaving any border around them, as I don't need to have it because I'm doing the paper piecing technique. Before cutting out other elements, I'm going to color them first. I'm doing simple coloring here, going from dark to light, and I'm using just a few colors of Copic markers. I'm starting with R39 as my darkest color. I'm adding R29 as the medium red, next adding R24 as the light red, and I'll also add a little bit of R32 as the lightest red color, and I'll also use this color to blend all other colors together. And I'm coloring both the hearts and the little buttons on the cuffs of my mittens. Now I can go ahead and cut these pieces out, and once again I'm using my scissors to do so and cutting right up to the edge. I can now go ahead and move on to coloring the main stamped piece. I'm using the same approach and the same colors of ink, and first adding a dark R39 color, next going in with my R29, and finishing up with the R24. Since I'm only coloring the letters here, I'm not coloring the mittens as I'll be covering them with my pattern paper mittens. So since I'm only coloring the letters, and since they are so small, I'm only adding thin lines of color. The coloring part goes rather quickly too. The overall card making process took me about 30 minutes in total. I also colored the parts of the letters on the pattern paper mittens. I used the same ink colors and just made sure that the color would continue over to the mittens. Once that was done, I adhered my cutout pattern paper mittens onto the main panel. I also adhered the white cuffs and the tiny red hearts. To add some shine and sparkle to this card, I used a red Wink of Stella glitter pen and added a generous amount of glitter to all pieces colored in red. I think it really adds a lot to the overall card design and just makes it pop. If you don't have a red glitter pen, you can go over this with clear, or you can just spray the entire panel with a clear shimmer spray ink and have lots of sparkle on your project. You can also use shimmer pens to color your stamped image to begin with. I wanted to have some shading added to mine, and I only had one red glitter pen, so this is why I colored with Copics first and added shimmer later. Next, I used foam adhesive and foam mounted my panel onto a 5x7 side-folding card base made out of white cardstock. To add a bit of extra shine to my project, I grabbed glossy accents and coated the white cuff area with a generous amount of glossy, so that I could add some beautiful white glitter. And I'll clean up the glitter around the cuffs once the glue is dry. I also added a layer of glossy accents to the hearts on this card. I made another project using the same stamp, but I added a few more bits and pieces to make it less clean and simple looking. There's some of that pattern paper I used for the mittens on the side of the card, and some red and white baker's twine too. I love the way these turned out, very simple to make and full of Christmas sparkle. Here are a few additional projects I made using Christmas stamps from Tammy Tutterow. Enjoy! If you're looking for a list of supplies to create these cards, you can find it in the video description below and also on my blog. On the screen, you're seeing a few additional videos using Christmas stamps. Feel free to check them out for additional inspiration. Thank you so much for watching this video and for stopping by today. I'll see you next time. Bye!